Hello, my friends. This is Sylvie Curry, Lady of Q, and once again, I am in my kitchen. Today, I'm going to be making a meat sauce, a tomato and meat sauce, which I'm going to be serving with spaghetti. Some of my ingredients, and they're a little bit different than you would ordinarily see in this type of recipe, but I've got here 2 large tomatoes that were stewed and frozen, and I'm going to reduce those down to make like a paste or like a puree. Some of the other major ingredients I'm going to be using includes this gluten-free quinoa spaghetti. And this can be used the same as you would regular spaghetti. And that's for your households where somebody that you're going to be serving is on a gluten-free type diet. I've got some San Marzano peeled tomatoes, certified, and this is a 28-ounce can. In addition, some of my seasonings include some crushed red pepper. That's a little bit less than a teaspoonful. I'm not sure I'm going to use it all. I'm going to do it to taste. I've got salt and pepper. That's about a half a teaspoon of pepper and a teaspoon of salt. Worcestershire sauce, and that's about a tablespoon and a half. I have here some chicken bouillon, and it's just dried chicken bouillon. Meats I'm going to be using includes some brisket trim, and this is from a brisket that I had, I guess this was back in, I've got a label, in November for a competition, and that's the trim from it. In addition, I have some ground pork, and that's also trim from a competition I did. It's a total of 2 pounds of the beef, and this is about a pound of the pork. The other ingredients include, I've got 1 medium onion diced. I've got about 5 or 6 garlic cloves that are minced. This is about a teaspoon of oregano. This is dried basil, and this basil I'm going to crush up. I've got a combination here of sage, thyme, and rosemary, which I sort of minced a little bit up so that it wouldn't be big flakes. I've got 1 scallion bulb that's been diced, and I've got 1 red bell pepper, and this is a small bell pepper. One of the things I'm guilty of when I cook is that when I'm not doing a video, I just sort of play it by ear and let the ancestors talk to me about how much I'm going to put in of any one seasoning or whatever. And I just go from there. So here, the amounts can vary. It depends on what you like. For example, garlic. If you don't like garlic, don't use this much. If you like garlic, add more or less. I also have the crushed red pepper. If you don't like heat, leave it out. Some of the other things, instead of using Italian seasoning, my combination of the oregano with the thyme, sage, and rosemary is similar to the ingredients that would be in an Italian seasoning. So you could use that instead of going out and trying to find these dried herbs and trying to make up your own. The amount that you use, just once again, it's in my head as far as the way it looks. How does it look? Taste, and then I add depending upon what I feel it should taste like. One of the things about this brisket also is that it's very fatty. This is probably about I'm going to say it's probably about a 60-40 blend of meat and fat. So when I cook that, there may be a lot of fat left, and depending upon what's there, I may have to take some of it off to make this sauce. The same goes for the ground pork. In addition, while making this, I'm going to have some water available, so if it's too dry and I need to add a little bit more moisture to the sauce, I can do that by adding water. At the end, when I do tasting, I'm going to add more salt and pepper, and that's once again depending on taste. I have my tomatoes in a skillet, and I'm going to reduce that down to a paste. So I have to carefully watch this as it gets reduced because we don't want it to burn, but we do want it to get fairly dry. I've got a little less than a tablespoon of olive oil in my Dutch oven, and I'm going to add the meats. My ground meats are ready to start adding all the other ingredients. In addition, I want to show you my tomatoes. They're reducing very nice. I'm going to start off by adding the veggies, and that includes the onions, the shallots, and the bell pepper. I'm not going to add the garlic quite yet. And I'm just going to give them a minute or two just to wilt a little bit. There's a quick little look at our tomatoes that are reducing. There's still some moisture in there, but at this point is where we have to be very careful to make sure that this doesn't burn. I mentioned that these were stewed tomatoes, which I stewed. They came from one of my friend's gardens. And I did peel them and I froze them, and now we're using that to make a type of paste for our meat sauce. Here I've made sort of a well that I'm going to put my garlic in. And we'll give that the opportunity to cook a little bit in those juices that are in there. And then I'll mix it all together. It's at this point now that I can start adding all my other ingredients. I'm going to start with the salt and pepper, the seasonings that make up for an Italian seasoning type blend. About a half of that red pepper flakes I have. This is the beef bouillon. And this is the Worcestershire sauce. My tomatoes have reduced to the point that I wanted them to. And so I'm going to take them off the heat. I'm making another well in here so that I can add my tomato paste. Got that tomato paste in there. Stir it around a little bit. And then we're going to let that cook with some of the juices from the beef mixture. We are looking great, and it smells oh so good. Now I'm going to add my peeled tomatoes. And I'll squish those up in the pot. Wow, doesn't that just look so yummy? Oh, and the colors, vibrant. I've turned the fire down to a simmer, and we're just going to let this simmer here on the stove for a good 30-40 minutes. And we'll come back and we'll do some tasting to see what seasonings and spices we need to adjust. And we're on our road to a nice, simplistic, homemade meat sauce to go over pasta. Our meat sauce is nearly done. I did a taste on it, and I did add an additional, actually 2 teaspoons of salt. And I also added the balance of those red peppers. So it made for a total, red pepper flakes. So that made a total of about a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Remember, that's to your liking, depending upon how spicy you like it. In addition, the amount of salt you add, and maybe even pepper at the end, is based on your taste. Go for it. In the next step, I'm going to be cooking our spaghetti and getting ready to serve. When we serve this, I'm going to place the spaghetti in a bowl. We'll top it with some of this meat sauce and some Parmesan cheese. Water is coming to a boil so that I can cook this gluten-free spaghetti. It's going to go on for like 10 to 15 minutes till al dente. It's our meat sauce. It's ready. And I must say, mighty tasty.